At approximately 8 p.m., on the night of April 25, 2026, a 31-year-old man from Torrance, California stood alone in his hotel room at the Washington Hilton. He was dressed in black. Red necktie. He picked up his phone. And he took a selfie. Downstairs. In the same hotel. Just floors below. The President of the United States was seated at the White House Correspondents Association dinner, along with the First Lady, the Cabinet, senior administration officials, members of Congress, hundreds of formally dressed guests. The man in that hotel room had been planning this moment for 19 days. He had traveled 2,700 miles to be here. He had 2 firearms, 2 knives, 4 daggers, and enough ammunition, according to federal prosecutors, to take dozens of lives. He put his phone down. He picked up his shotgun. And he ran toward the ballroom. Tonight on Midnight Case Files, we are going inside the most chilling presidential assassination attempt since Ronald Reagan was shot. In the exact same hotel, 45 years ago. This is the story of Tomas Allen. And how close he came.
Quick information on this alleged suspect's background. According to public records that CNN was able to sift through, he worked as a teacher and a video game developer. According to a LinkedIn profile matching his name and photograph, it described him as a part-time teacher at C2 Education. That is a test prep and tutoring company. CNN has reached out to C2 for comment. We have not heard back from them. C2, according to its records, did name Allen as the company's, quote, Teacher of the Month in December of 2024. According to a LinkedIn profile, Allen graduated from the California Institute of Technology in 2017 with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. He received a master's degree in computer science from Cal State University at Dominguez Hills last year in 2025. According to Federal Election Commission records, he donated $25 to Kamala Harris's presidential campaign in 2024. And he described himself in his LinkedIn profile as a video game developer. He appears to have published at least one game, an indie game called Boredom, for sale on the Steam gaming platform. So a little bit more of the background of this alleged suspect, Tomas Allen.
Let me tell you about the man who walked toward that ballroom. Because nothing about Tomas Allen fits the profile you might expect. Tomas Allen was born April 11th, 1995. He grew up in the greater Los Angeles area, living there since 2010. He attended California State University, where a professor in the computer science department named Bintang described him to NBC News as, and these are his exact words, a very good student indeed. Always sitting in the first row of my class. Paying attention. Coming to my office hours. Frequently emailing me with coursework questions. He said he was shocked to learn of the arrest. He called Allen soft-spoken. Allen had a background in mechanical engineering and computer science. He worked part-time as a high school tutor at C2 Education in Torrance, a tutoring firm where he had worked since 2020. He received a Teacher of the Month award from that company in December 2024. Teacher of the Month. 16 months before he allegedly tried to assassinate the president. He was also a video game developer. Someone who, according to a CNN review of his social media, had shifted dramatically in recent years from posting about video games to posting political rage. On federal election records, his entire political donation history consists of a single contribution, $25, to ActBlue, for Kamala Harris. In October 2024, his sister, according to a White House official cited by NPR, told the Secret Service that her brother was known to make what she called radical statements. And yet, nobody stopped him. Nobody called the authorities. Nobody flagged the man who would later sign an email to his family. Cold Force, friendly federal assassin Allen. He called himself a friendly federal assassin. In writing, sent to his own family. Minutes before he ran through a security checkpoint holding a shotgun. Now let's talk about the planning. Because this was not an impulsive act. This was not a man who snapped. This was 19 days of deliberate, methodical preparation. Every step of which federal prosecutors have now documented in detail. On April 6, 2026, Allen used his cell phone to search White House Correspondents' Dinner 2026. Less than 2 hours later, at 3:28 p.m., he received a confirmation email for a 2-night stay at the Washington Hilton from April 24th to April 26th. He booked the room directly above the ballroom where the dinner would take place. 10 days later, on April 16th, Allen used his cell phone to access a series of online media articles discussing the dinner, including its host, the event schedule, and expected attendees. He was studying the target. Then he bought his train ticket. Not a plane ticket. A train ticket. One way. Amtrak from Los Angeles to Chicago, then Chicago to Washington, D.C. During that train journey, Allen used his phone to read a news article titled, "Trump's plans for mic drop media confrontation are leaked. The president is planning a rage-fueled moment at the White House Correspondents Association dinner." He was reading about his target while traveling toward him. He arrived in Washington, D.C. at approximately 1 p.m. on April 24th. He checked into the Washington Hilton later that afternoon. He was in the building. The same building as the president. Checked in. With a shotgun in his room, a .38 caliber pistol, 2 knives, 4 daggers, and enough ammunition, prosecutors say, to take dozens of lives. And at approximately 8 p.m., before he picked up his weapons, he took a selfie, standing in front of the mirror in his hotel room, dressed in black, red necktie. Then he sent the email. We are halfway through the story, and the most explosive details are still coming. Subscribe to Midnight Case Files right now so you never miss a case this big. And drop a comment. Were you following the story live on April 25th? Tell me where you were when you heard the news. Before he walked toward that ballroom, Cole Allen sent an email to members of his family and a former employer. He scheduled it to send just before he made his move. The email said, "I wish I could have said anything earlier, but doing so would have made none of this possible. My sincerest apologies for all the trouble I've caused. Cole." And then he signed it. Cole, Cold Force, Friendly Federal Assassin Allen. The full manifesto, obtained by federal agents from a recipient, went further. It stated, "I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. I'm not a school kid blown up or a child starved or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration." In an apparent reference to the president, the letter also said, "I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes." The manifesto referenced grievances about immigration detentions, U.S. strikes on alleged drug boats in the Caribbean, the bombing of a girls' school in Iran, the Epstein scandal, a range of political issues processed through a mind that had made a catastrophic decision. And remarkably, the manifesto also expressed surprise at the apparent lack of security at the hotel. He wrote, "What the hell is the Secret Service doing? No damn security. Not in transport. Not in the hotel. Not in the event." He was wrong about that. Completely wrong. As we are about to find out. 8:40 p.m. April 25, 2026. Washington Hilton. Terrace level. Tomas Allen approached a security checkpoint on the terrace level, leading to the hotel's ballroom, where the President of the United States was seated. Feet away, Allen ran through the magnetometer, holding a long gun. U.S. Secret Service personnel assigned to the checkpoint heard a loud gunshot. A U.S. Secret Service officer, who was wearing a ballistic vest, was shot once in the chest. That vest saved his life. The Secret Service officer drew his service weapon and fired multiple times at Allen. Allen fell to the ground. He suffered minor injuries, but was not shot. According to Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, law enforcement fired approximately 5 shots in response to the attack. Officers arrested Allen at the scene. He was found in possession of a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, a Rock Island Armory 1911.38 caliber pistol, 2 knives, 4 daggers, and ammunition sufficient, prosecutors say, to take dozens of lives. As prosecutors wrote in their detention memo, had the defendant achieved his intended outcome, he would have brought about one of the darkest days in American history. The defendant traveled across the country with the explicit aim to kill the President of the United States. The defendant, armed with a 12-gauge shotgun, a .38 caliber pistol, 2 knives, 4 daggers, and enough ammunition to take dozens of lives, was apprehended by Secret Service officers mere feet away from the ballroom where his primary target was located. Mere feet away. Inside the ballroom, chaos. U.S. Representative Jared Moskowitz said that when he heard gunfire and the crashing of plates, everyone got under the tables. He later described how House Republican leader Steve Scalise, himself a survivor of a 2017 congressional baseball shooting, put his arm around Moskowitz and said he's with us, escorting him to a secure room. The president was evacuated. Melania Trump was evacuated. The cabinet was moved to secure locations. Trump later posted photos on Truth Social of Allen, lying face down on the ground, shirtless, hands cuffed behind his back, surrounded by Secret Service agents. And then, in a statement that says everything about this president's character, Trump said he wanted the dinner to continue. Monday, April 27, 2026. U.S. District Court. Washington, D.C. Tomas Allen appeared for his federal arraignment. He was charged with 1 count of attempt to assassinate the President of the United States, transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce with intent to commit a felony, discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, whose office is prosecuting this case, said at the press conference, Allen traveled across the country with deadly weapons and a plan to assassinate the President of the United States. The swift and courageous response of the Secret Service officers prevented unimaginable tragedy. There is no room in this city for political violence. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche added, Allen now faces the full weight of federal justice. This alleged assassin was stopped because of the courage and professionalism of law enforcement officers who responded without hesitation by doing their jobs. FBI Washington Field Office Assistant Director in Charge, Darren Cox said, this foiled plot was a brazen attempt to assassinate the president and numerous high-ranking U.S. government officials. Violence is never an acceptable means of expressing political dissent. He is being held without bond. Additional charges, according to U.S. Attorney Pirro, are expected to follow. This is also a fact that has not received enough attention in the coverage, the second apparent presidential assassination attempt at the Washington Hilton. The first being the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan in 1981. The same hotel. 45 years apart. 2 presidents. 2 men who walked toward a checkpoint with weapons and a plan. This is the 3rd assassination attempt in Donald Trump since 2024. Drop a comment. Do you think presidential security in America is adequate? And do you think the motive matters when it comes to the sentence he should receive? I want to hear from every single one of you on this. Here is where things stand today. Tomas Allen, 31 years old, is being held without bond in federal custody in Washington, D.C. Additional charges are expected from the U.S. Attorney's Office. No trial date has been set. Extremism experts are watching this case closely. NPR reported that experts are concerned about what Allen's case represents, not just as an isolated incident, but as a signal that for some individuals, the levers of democracy no longer feel like they can affect real change. As one expert told NPR, that is a bleak point for an individual to get to. This is now the third apparent assassination attempt on Donald Trump since 2024. The first, July 2024, Butler, Pennsylvania. A spectator was killed. Trump was grazed in the ear. The second, September 2024, West Palm Beach. Ryan Routh convicted. Life sentence. And now April 25, 2026. The Washington Hilton. A Secret Service officer shot in the chest. A ballroom full of the most powerful people in America diving under tables. Former President Barack Obama condemned the assassination attempt. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries rebuked the White House press secretary's attempt to shift blame for political violence onto the opposition party. And across the country, a nation is asking the same question it has asked 3 times now. How close is too close? Midnight Case Files will be following this case every step of the way from arraignment to trial. Subscribe right now. Hit the bell. Because this story is far from over. For the Secret Service officer who was shot in the chest while doing his job. Who put on that vest that morning, not knowing it would stop a bullet before midnight. He is the reason this story does not end as one of the darkest days in American history. And for every person in that ballroom. Who dove under a table? Who grabbed a stranger's hand? Who was led to a secure room? By people like Steve Scalise. Who himself knows what a bullet feels like. And chose to pull someone else to safety anyway. This has been Midnight Case Files. Drop a comment. Share this video. Subscribe so you never miss a case. History was almost made that night. I'll see you in the next one.